What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I would say hopefully you're having a great Monday, but I know some of you don't listen to this the day it drops. So I thought I would say hello as a generality. I'm running errands currently, but I thought I'd give you a little bit of a primer or a introduction to the podcast, if you will. This is actually part 2 of the interview that I did with Boski and Cynthia about their pregnancy, their delivery, and sprinkled in a bit of that child care situation, right? I kind of like the idea of adding these primers beforehand, giving you a little bit of a little bit of an introduction, and it makes it a lot easier for us as podcastees, if you will, to just start the conversation the day that we have the podcast, so that it isn't awkward introducing everybody. Everything gets introduced on the back end, and at the end, they can plug whatever they want to plug. So ultimately, I think I'll be doing this moving forward, but let me know what your thoughts are. If you like this intro prior to the podcast, which might be the way I go with all on the interview podcast, where I talk to people about specific things, because it gives a good setup, or what I call like a primer for it. So yeah, and as always, I'm constantly doing something, so I'm running errands as I'm talking to you, and that's why there might be a little bit more noise than normal. I'm not using the same equipment that I normally would for the podcast. If you guys want to contact Boski or his wife, I'll probably put their social media stuff down below. Show them some love, tell them thanks, tell them they did a good job on the podcast. Random update for those of you that requested, by the way, I also started looking into how to upload the podcast audio format onto iTunes. There's a couple of requests for that. I need to look into it. The first time I looked into it, it looked like a very convoluted process that I didn't really want to be involved with. Plus, I also like the idea of constant, predictable uploads on the YouTube channel. But, whatever. I might just do them on both uploaded on YouTube and on iTunes. These are things I'm still kind of tinkering with. But more so right now, I'm just worried about hosting the files, and then also getting them associated on iTunes. And then when all that happens, just be aware that just like everything else, iTunes and YouTube and everything else rewards the content creator by how active the followers or the listeners are of those content. So in YouTube, for example, like whenever you like a video or you comment it or you share it, YouTube can track all of that, and so they can see what how good the video is and what people are interested in and by those specific things. And on iTunes, it's based on comments and how you rate the podcast. So when it does move towards that, I would hope some of you loyal savages would help a brother out because that'll kind of help spread the word a bit more. But anyways, that's it. A little intro, a little bit of plugging my own stuff in the front, just trying to be honest. And that's it. I'll let you guys listen to part 2 of 2. There isn't any more after this, of the pregnancy, childbirth, child care, I guess I'd call it, podcast. Once again, all links are down below for everybody. And see you guys later.
Like a day or two after we came home, right? Because they wanted to make sure that she was continuing to gain weight. Yeah. So yeah, it's like you have this kid, and then it's like this whole set of other challenges. And
Did you decide to store the placenta?
It's funny you say that, because I didn't even think about that, and I regret that to this day. Yeah, I wish I would have encapsulated it.
That's an option out there offering to a lot of people,
Yeah.
which is interesting. Because I wonder.
It's good though.
Well, it's got a lot of stem cells in it. That's essentially what they want, is the stem cells from it.
I see.
I don't know. It's interesting because the stem cell research is now getting very popular. Like they're able to take these stem cells and put them into other people for like big injuries, and the stem cells are essentially like a very generic cell that can turn into other cells, and so it can help with rebuilding stuff. So it's great for like people are seeing miracles when it comes to like bone regeneration and ligament fixing and all kinds of stuff. But I'm like, where's all these stem cells coming from?
Right.
Like, I'm wondering if they're kind of coming from these banks of people who are donating them or maybe giving them for storage. I'm like, where's all these stem cells coming from? Because essentially the only way for you to get stem cells is from placenta, from births.
And that's what I like after.
From my
I
understanding.
wish I would
I'm not a
have
doctor.
because I feel like a lot of my like mommy knowledge comes from listening to mommy podcasts, and I wish I would have listened to that more before I gave birth, because that then I started hearing about encapsulating your placenta and all this, and I have no idea what they did with my placenta. I know it was there because I remember Ralph saying like, yeah, that was like the grossest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it was
because they just
disgusting.
put it
Like
like on this
jellyfish.
little table.
Yeah, it's
that,
like a jellyfish, and it's just
And they kind of press on your stomach to make sure
push
that
it
all
out?
of it comes
Yeah.
out.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't get to see that. I was
Yeah,
too
thank God.
focused on the baby.
Do you just keep bleeding though?
After you give birth, you bleed for like a good month.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
The first couple of days is a little heavy, and then after that, it's not that bad. But it's
Like
there.
a heavy period, or like just heavy, like you cut
like a
yourself
heavy
open?
period.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a lot of gross things with birth.
I've heard too, like sometimes people like poop and stuff when they're pushing.
Oh my gosh, that was like my worst fear. That was I probably didn't eat for like 2 days because I was like, that's not happening to me. I was like, I cannot see, like, how am I going to look at my husband in his eyes if that happens? Like, oh my God, like I was terrified of that because it's like thinking back to it, it's like you can't control that. Like if you're pushing a baby out, and like it's funny because like a lot of my friends would be like, Cynthia, but it's totally normal. I'm like, I pray that does not happen to me because I would die. Like it's just like, and it's one of those things where like I remember after I gave birth to her and I was in the recovery room and stuff, I told my mom, I'm like, that didn't happen, right? Because like she was watching that. She's like, no, everything was fine. I'm like, oh, thank God. Because I was like, maybe it happened and I didn't even feel it.
Right,
you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, that's insane. Like that happens. Like when I found out about that, I was freaked out. Like
she did not poop. I was there.
Oh, man.
I'm surprised that you were worried about that though, but you still let him watch.
She didn't have a choice. That was my choice.
Maybe
coulda had
because
a
like
choice. She would've been like,
when
"Come
we
over
talked
here."
about
Yeah,
it,
true,
he was
true.
always like, you
Death
know,
grip.
like
She's like,
he would
"Here."
it was
Kung
really
fu
nice that
death
he
grip.
really wanted to be part of it.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
in every aspect. So maybe that's why, but like
Helped you get more
man.
comfortable with it and
yeah. I mean, like with his parents, like his mom would go to the hospital by herself, and then his dad would show up. It's like, oh, the baby's here.
It's because they're old school
but
Mexicans.
I think it was normal,
Yeah.
It was
culture was
Yeah.
it was normal. Like it's like I'm not gonna wait there for a day or two for this kid to be born, and nowadays I'm like, what? Like
Yeah.
no,
Like
like
remember in the 50s, like the dad would wait in the waiting room smoking a cigar, and he's like, all
Yeah.
right, at some point they're gonna call me in with my baby. It changes.
yeah, so bizarre, right? That not long ago it was normal for people to smoke in a hospital.
yeah, that is. Yeah, I didn't. Yeah.
So all right, so he got you back home. So are you able to walk? How long till you able to walk?
I was able to walk right away.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
With a lot of discomfort.
Yeah. I
Are
mean,
you-
I wasn't like walking,
Dancing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but a lot of discomfort walking. But
Were you like feeling your body compressing open and kind of?
yeah, you get these like after, and the nurse did tell me about it. You get like these after, like
Aftershocks.
Yeah, like aftershocks. Because you even feel your uterus contracting back too. Because you get like these little weird contractions in your belly, like because it contracts back to its original size. Yeah.
I'm glad I don't have a uterus.
For how long?
I think I felt it. I want to say for like the first month. About the first month.
Just the fact that the body does all of that.
Yeah,
stuff.
that it just knows what to do. It's insane.
But it's almost better off that way. Because if we had to manually do that process, we're like, open up the uterus wall. And you're like, all right, now push harder. Like, we would fuck it up.
But I think there is an element of that. I really do. You know, like, because you have this crazy bond with this little baby, you know? And I think those, like, it's almost like those hormones communicate with your body. And
it's possible. No, I'm laughing because I'm once again childish mind. I'm like thinking, how many idiots do you watch videos on YouTube where people come out of their garage without opening the door? Like, that's the same shit people do with the baby. They're just like trying to like, oh, I forgot to open up the uterus wall. Like, it has to be an auto thing, you know? So they talk a lot about the oxytocin, like that bonding hormone that you get, like especially during breastfeeding afterwards. Is that something that you kind of feel, or is it just something where you're like, oh no, I just feel bonded to the baby?
You do. I personally did feel it. I don't think Ralph and I have talked about it, but after you have the baby, they do this golden hour. Everyone leaves the room. Mom's included. It was only Ralph, the baby, and I. And I'd say in that hour, like it's total bliss. It really is. Yeah. Like it's just like you can't believe that this little baby's here. And
take pictures.
Did
it's
we
great.
Take pictures?
Yeah.
I don't think I was thinking of pictures. Ralph
I did.
would think of pictures.
I didn't send them to anybody. Those were for me.
For the gram, bro.
It was
gram.
super blissful.
No,
like,
not for the gram.
Yeah, I've never felt so connected to him. Like it's like this super high. I think that's the best way I can describe it.
So I've also heard of a lot of women who get a crash afterwards, where they get postpartum depression. Is that something you were worried about?
I think I did have some postpartum, and I think it was mainly because of the breastfeeding. Yeah.
Is that like also a byproduct of your hormones being like kind of like roller coasters throughout the process, and then in the end you kind of crash and you're relieved, but then back up with the bonding, and then kind of.
Yeah, I think so, because I mean it's like all these things are going through your head. Like I read things of like, oh, if you don't breastfeed your kid, they have a higher chance of SIDS. And so, like, I'd get paranoid. Like, it's like if my baby dies, oh, my God, like, it's my fault, because I wasn't breastfeeding my baby.
What's
SIDS? Sudden infant death.
Okay.
Something.
Sudden infant death. I think it's death. Death syndrome.
Something like that. Yeah, because I believe they can't determine why a baby passes in the first couple months. I don't know exactly what the cutoff is with the months, but like they just say it's SIDS. If a baby passes when they're a month, 2 months, 3 months, they don't say like, oh, it's because they were having respiratory issues or So
I do wonder how much of that is hormone based, where like you're not bonding enough with the child, therefore maybe not taking care of it as much, or like feeding it as much. Like you see that a lot with I think it's kittens. Like when a new kitten litter is born, like you shouldn't be touching those cats ever, because the female cat needs to be able to smell her smell on the cat, so that she knows it's hers, and then she could feed them. Because if you ever remove the kitten when it's too young and you try to put it back so the mom feeds it, she'll like cast it away. She's kind of like, that's not my baby, I don't smell my smell on it.
Oh,
I think it's cats that do that.
that's crazy. That's
Cats
crazy.
are little assholes,
but yeah, I think all of that has a play into it, because like I was he knows I was paranoid. I was paranoid about everything. Like she slept right next to us. We had a little like a bassinet type thing, like next to our bed. And it's like any little noise, it was crazy. Because I think experiences and stories that you're told throughout your pregnancy really affect you after.
They stick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I knew of a baby that died of SIDS at 4 months. I heard of miscarriages and all those things. Like, it's like, oh my God, like, it was almost like when Ruby reached 4 months, I almost felt like a relief. Because
She got past that.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same thing with pregnancy, right? Like after a certain trimester or whatever,
That's
like
true.
it's you're good. It's very low likelihood of something happening.
Yeah, I believe it's like if you pass the 12-week mark, it's safe to start telling people, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you mentioned this in the beginning of the podcast a bit, how like you're still not where you were before having the baby.
Right.
So like this is just kind of like physically, like your physical goals, right? So has Ralph been like, so where's that boy at? And does that make you more hesitant knowing that like this process that we just discussed is like something you have to go through again?
Yeah, it's ironic you mention it because it's probably like, I want to say like a month ago, he was like, you don't want Ruby to grow up by herself.
Guys are like that. They're like,
we should try. And I totally shut him down because I was like, nope, I'm not doing that right now. Like, we got to wait. And I think I went as far as saying, unless you want me to stop working, I'm not going to have another baby right now. And I think because I said that, he probably was like, oh, yeah, you got to work.
You going to work, girl.
But, he's mentioned it. And there is that selfish aspect of, I'm going to put my body through this again. This sucks, And, being honest, you do think of that. Like, as much as I don't want to admit it, and I mean,
look, it's not something to dismiss. I mean, essentially, what you're putting your body through is pretty intense.
Yeah,
it's not like you just went to the bathroom for like 2 minutes. And you're like, I'm good to go, dog. This is like a 9-month plus process where your body goes through tremendous changes. So it's not an easy dismiss where you're like, whatever. I went to the bathroom.
Yeah, and I think it's because I care about my body that it makes it more like, because I mean honestly, there's women that they don't care, and I kind of give them props because it's like, they put that aside completely for a couple years or even a lifetime, and to take care of the baby and stuff. And I mean, I don't know if that'll happen when we have this. If we try to have a second child, if I'll be like, I don't care, But I care. I do care, and, I did. And there's always that social pressure, too, where, like, you think people are like, oh, she's still carrying baby weight or whatever. But
do you feel like that's more women than men?
Yeah, I feel like it's more women than men. Because
I don't think guys give a shit. They're just like, whatever.
Yeah. Well, no, you care a little bit, right? I mean, not in a bad way, but like, because I mean, in that aspect, like, and we're already active in that sense, like working out and stuff. It's just the diet aspect is what's hard for us.
Well, for you.
Whatever, pizza man over here.
It's easy for me to eat pizza.
Yeah, he has this Fridays, this Fat Boy Friday.
Fat Boy Friday.
That's awesome.
It's just like, no, I'm trying to be good for a couple weeks.
Fat Boy Friday.
You don't have to eat. It's like, dude, it's like right in my face. I'm gonna want to eat at least a slice.
It's like a bite. A slice never hurt anybody. Once a week.
But yeah,
try eating the whole damn thing.
No, for sure. There's that selfish aspect, and your body changes after a baby.
Yeah.
No.
There's permanent changes.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. And it is. Look, in certain respects, it is kind of like a selfish endeavor to want to not put your body through anything else. But at the same time, like, you only have one body, right? Like, at the same time, you also should be able to have it all in many respects, and you can. You just gotta work a little harder. You will have to work a little harder, but
Yeah.
just kind of food for thought. Because I think some women also tend to have that mindset where they're like, I've had a kid, I did this for the baby. And it's like, well, diabetes is creeping up too, so you got to be careful.
Yeah.
You know, you got to be able to also manage everything. You know, just like money, you can't just go buck ass wild and buy everything you want and then just assume that you're still going to be able to pay rent.
Yeah.
Like, you got to balance and manage.
Exactly.
Nobody's
I
telling you to
agree.
be fitness chick number 4 from Instagram, but
Fitness.
you got it. But at the same time, like, don't let yourself go where you're risking your health and now you're putting your baby in this position where who's going to take care of your baby if something happens? You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, yeah, I think it's just something that's just going to happen. If it happens, it happens. I think if it doesn't happen, I don't think it would be like
Wouldn't be the worst.
detrimental
Yeah, it wouldn't be
to our
the worst thing
marriage
in the
or
world,
like,
no.
I don't think he would resent me.
Do you have a
But-
number? Like, for
2.
example, what I mean by that? 2 what?
First-
2 kids?
The number? Yeah, the maximum number is 2 kids.
Okay, so that's my point. So no, my point is more along the lines of, like, you want the pair. Everybody wants the pair.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, everyone wants the
Essentially, you're
pair.
always like, I want a boy and a girl.
Yeah.
But what if you have another girl?
That's
so do you have a
fine.
max number?
Yeah, 2.
You don't, no,
For
no,
me, it's
you don't go
2.
for the 3? You don't go for
Nope.
the 3? You don't roll the dice?
No. No, I'm gonna end up like my dad.
All girls.
Yeah,
They
and
say
he
that.
had 4.
You
4
know-
girls and then me. When there's a big gap.
3 girls and
They say
Oh,
that
I have a half sister.
That's true, my bad.
supposedly, this is some bro shit, but there is like the idea that guys with like really high testosterone levels usually have like girls. They have a lot of girls. Like a lot of MMA guys have a lot of girls. Well, it's just
Oh,
like,
interesting.
what's up with this, right?
Yeah.
Which, by the way, you're welcome, because shortly after I got him on a diet and I got him all straightened out, yoked, that's when you got pregnant. That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
I'm yoked.
I'm
he
taking
said
credit.
it.
The
Jonathan
baby.
helped us in our journey, apparently.
This is going to be the ad. I'm going to cut the apparently part out of it. I'm going to be a reproductive specialist.
Yeah. No, but it's funny you mentioned that because I gained a lot more weight like after the baby came.
Ooh, did you have
Sympathy weight.
sympathy? Yeah, sympathy meals.
Sympathy weight.
Probably.
Where
It
she's
was
like
probably
eating
like
stuff,
it
and
was,
then you're like, I'll eat with
I
you.
think it was also a lot because with his recovery from
yeah,
his knee
because
surgery.
I was injuries and stuff that we had
Can't be
talked
as
about.
active.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So two, and then you're done. Despite
Yeah,
two girls.
I don't want
if
more
that.
than 2.
If that.
If there's
it
a
would be
third
2.
one, it's totally an oopsie. Totally.
There will not
The
be a
baby
third.
will just never know that, though.
It will not be a third.
What about adoption? Would you
Nope.
do a third adoption?
See,
No.
Dang.
yeah.
No.
You just
Straight up,
stamped it.
no.
You just stamped it. No.
Nope. I will have no attachment to this kid.
Really?
Straight up.
I don't agree. I think you'll change your
No.
mind.
Nope.
Why?
I only like my kids. I'm not saying I don't like any like other people's kids. I'm not saying that, but I could only put up with my kid. I have a hard time putting up with other people's
But see, you
kids.
see, like,
not
stepdads
that I
all the
don't
time
like
that
them because
step
other people's kids they're funny, they're hilarious, and I used to work in a preschool, and I learned a lot about kids. I don't want other people's kids. I want my kid, and that's
I
it.
don't know. I think you change your mind. I think just like dads become stepdads all the time. I think eventually you bond and you start seeing that kid as your kid. And I mean, you may not be biologically your kid. I mean, but I think you'll change your mind.
There was a time where I told her, I said, if you would have had a kid, I probably wouldn't have dated you for sure.
That is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Like,
straight up told me if you had a kid when
like
I
from
met,
somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, look, that is kind of a deterrent, right? But I'm
I'm
saying
like,
as you get
dang.
older, I think you change a little
Yeah,
bit.
maybe in the future, like, that's not how it played out, obviously, but in the future, I probably would have changed my mind, maybe. I mean, I was 23 when we met, and I said that when we were 23.
Well, when you're 23, you do a lot of dumb shit too. That's why I don't understand why the league, like, being an adult here is like 18. It's like, dude, it needs to be like 25.
Yeah, I agree.
Because you do some dumb shit as a guy when you're 23. Like, what was that saying that Eric? He has a great saying. Oh, he called it, when you're young, you're cock hard. Like, because you're just so dumb. You're so
Young, dumb,
that
full of
you're just
mush.
making, yeah, it's just like you're just making dumb decisions based on testosterone and whatever dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're dumb when you're 20s, early 20s. You are. Guys are simple.
We're simple to the point.
A lot of it's just like, what am I? I'm hungry? Yeah, no.
Just
Do I
go
need to
get
go to the
something to
bathroom?
eat.
Yes or no. Do I want to have sex? Yes or no. All right, video games it is. That's all I got left. Guys are just simple.
Yeah. Women overthink things sometimes.
We do. I know I do.
Yeah, we do.
What else? What else about giving birth or having kids?
Going back
Have
to
your own
the,
kids. Don't adopt.
Going back
I'm
to the
sorry.
adoption thing, I don't think he would change his mind
You don't think so?
because as women overthink, when I was trying to get pregnant and that whole year, like there was a point when I asked him, I'm like, well, what if we adopt? Nope. Like he was very adamant about it. He's like, I'm okay with it just being you and I. I'm not going to adopt. He's like, I know I'm not going to give that child the love they deserve.
Just pretend he's not here.
Yeah.
And
Do you think it's like machismo? Do you think it's like
I wonder.
Because I wonder.
Yes.
Because
What's
he does.
machismo?
I feel.
How do you describe it? Hold on. Google will help us out with this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's a hard one to
Like Mexican
describe.
machismo.
Is the word no, it's not masochist.
No, that's a
Yeah, it's
completely
that's
different
something
thing.
else.
He has a little bit of his dad's traits. So I maybe it's a little bit of that.
Yeah, I don't.
I forget
don't want-
machismo is a Spanish word, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Male chauvinism. Chauvinism.
Male
Like
chauvinism.
Male chauvinism.
Okay.
Do you want me to look at
So I'm a male chauvinist
No, I
pig,
don't.
apparently.
Yeah, I wonder how much of that is that, right?
Yeah. Now that you mention it, I think that's for sure a little bit of that.
And
Yeah.
I'm not picking on you because I think women have the adverse as well. Like you see women who are always like, I want to have a kid, but they have to have the kid that like they made.
Yeah.
You know, like I've known women who are like in shitty positions of their life, like bad decisions all around, dating shitty men, making excuses for them just because they want to have somebody, because they want to have the kid. I mean, it's like a checklist. They're like, I need a guy to get married so that I can have a kid before I'm 30. Otherwise, if I don't, I'm going to like be barren or whatever. Like women have this weird shit and they start making bad decisions. I knew a girl specifically that I work with that she'll never listen to this shit. She was a hot mess. And she was like dating a guy that had like opioid addictions, like he was doing pills and stuff, but she would justify his actions because she was like, well, he's with me, and she was trying to have a kid before her 30s, and she was reaching that age, and it's like, what do you got to be at some point, you got to disconnect yourself emotionally from your chimp DNA, or what I would call it, and say like, what kind of child are you bringing into the world, and what are you going to expose them with in that kind of family? Like at some point, you got to be real honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Because that's not a good situation to bring a kid into. So some of that I feel like is biology, but what the hell is my point? Why did I bring this up?
Dead
Maybe
silence.
that because you have this timeline doesn't mean.
Yeah.
Right. Sorry,
or-
thank you. So my point was, like, she wanted to have a kid of her own. Like, she wanted to have her own biology continue. And I feel like some of that is probably just your biology telling you to continue your line. But it's like, dude, there's also, you could adopt. There's a lot of kids that need families, right? But for a lot of people, it's definitely like, no, I need to have my own blood. And that happens all the time with women, too. So it's not picking on you. That was my point. Haha.
I don't feel picked on. It's okay.
All right.
I'm not adopting. Ever.
What else about giving birth?
What other
Is
weird
there anything-
things happen?
Hey,
I'm like,
when did they clear you guys to start having sex again?
Oh, good question.
They cleared us.
Few months. It was,
months?
yeah.
It wasn't months.
Was probably
Boski's like, oh, it took so long. Oh.
the time flew
You,
because you're more worried about the baby.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was a while. I mean, it wasn't like
I got
5
cleared
months.
after 6 weeks.
Oh, 6
Okay.
weeks. Yeah.
Okay, did your
2
libido
months.
increase as you were
It was
pregnant?
2 months.
No,
No.
no, it didn't actually.
No, didn't.
You have a sad face too.
No, it was sad. It was sad because that was sad for me too.
Yeah.
It
She's
was
like, "But I
it
wanna
was
have
you know,
sex."
and then like the consensus that I got from friends and family was that it
It
would,
increased.
and it was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
what the heck's going on? Like
Yeah.
this is
Is
weird.
that, I remember that joke from, which is the movie where Knocked Up. Have you guys seen Knocked
yeah.
Up?
Yeah.
Where like the girl gets like horny when she's pregnant, and he's like doesn't want to have sex with her. He's like,
Yeah,
what if I
'cause
poke the
it-
baby?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
hilarious. I thought about that too, like while she was pregnant. It's like, I'm going to poke the
Every
kid.
guy thinks about that.
Yeah.
When a girl's just like, let me show you anatomy here. You're doing not that big.
It is very far away from the baby.
That's hilarious.
The baby's protected.
The baby's not going to open its eyes and be like, what the heck?
What is this?
My mind's just like, whoa! Oh, jeez.
But yeah, no, that was a complete
Hey, I was
opposite
gonna
for
ask
me.
you before, like in your 20s and stuff, were you on birth control at all?
No, not
Oh, okay.
not consistently.
No. Okay. I'm just curious.
I hate birth control. It
Pull
doesn't
out
make me
game
feel
strong.
good. Yeah.
What kind of symptoms would you get? Was it symptoms?
I
or
felt
did
like
you-
I was just hormonal all the time.
crazy.
Like that hormonal when before you're gonna get your lady time, like it was all the time.
Yeah, she was crazy.
I was just cranky all the time. Everything irritated me. I had no patience for him. Like, I was like, this is not me.
Yeah.
Did you ever
Yeah.
try like different birth control, like adjusting
I
the
was
dosage or
told,
whatever?
let's try a different one. And I was like, nope. Because, I discussed it with him. I'm like, is it okay if we just like, I mean, at the time, like we had just gotten married. I'm like, is it okay if I don't and we just are careful? And he's like, I think because I was so mean, he was like, yeah, it's totally fine. Like,
totally cool.
Cool.
Don't
and it's
mind.
like it's almost like you can't control it. Like it's weird. Like
Yeah.
you're just so hormonal.
Yeah.
I
She's
hated
always
it.
talking shit.
Yeah, I was always talking. I was.
She's acting like McGregor.
Oh wow.
Ugh.
Yeah, it was.
Were you on like a high or a low dose?
I'm not even sure. It was so long ago. I'm not sure. But I know that I was like, he said it's okay. I'm just gonna stop.
You're like, all right, you threw the pack out, whatever.
Yeah,
That's nice.
It was
And then you bounce back to your normal self afterwards.
pretty much right. Like it's
Yeah.
like a sudden change. It's
You noticed
like,
it?
Her work ethic in the gym changed. It got more intense.
Really?
Without birth
Oh.
control?
Without birth control?
Yeah.
Or with birth control?
Without it. Yeah. Because you were.
I feel like you're looking for me for approval here.
No.
And for me too, right? He's like
No, yeah. She just kind of turned it up in the gym and stuff, and she started lifting heavy.
Did you retain a lot of water with birth control?
oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's another thing. I was gaining so much weight and it's like I'm not really eating. What the heck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, her gains were getting crazy, and it was a good thing, obviously. And then
He's like, that's how we ended up pregnant.
that's how we ended up pregnant.
Interesting.
Yeah, childbirth, and all that it's always a good story. Every story is different, and that's the best part.
It's so neat that every labor story is different and
Imagine if you
Unique.
work doing that, like just date labor delivery, you probably see a lot of crazy stuff.
Oh yeah, I'd say ours was pretty normal.
Pretty standard.
It's just basic. It was a basic,
basic.
pregnancy.
Ruby's
birth.
so basic.
No. She's a trip. She trips me out. But yeah, I'd say we had our birth was very basic, just to the point. Baby came out. She was fine. We went home.
What would you change like a second time around?
Would you do the epidural for the second time or just do it all natural again?
Well, I figured if I was able to do it,
I was gonna say.
yeah.
Get that second badge of honor.
But I have heard that with boys, it's the pain is more intense usually.
Really?
That's what I've heard, and I'm like, but it kind of makes sense because a boy's a little stronger, you
The
know.
boy's
like,
bigger 'cause we're
they're
superior.
bigger, like,
They're not as small.
Yeah.
They're the same weight though.
Not necessarily. Yeah, all babies are different weights.
All weights
like-
are different weight,
yeah,
right? But
yeah.
at the same time, like the things that differentiate a male from a female aren't that apparent in babies. I mean, he's gonna have like male parts, but that's not gonna affect the birth. And for the most part, like it's not like for a woman you're gonna be like, well, she's tinier and her shoulders aren't as wide. Like that stuff doesn't come until you hit puberty, like
Right.
the wider shoulders. I mean, all those big changes that differentiate a male to a female aren't really there
Right.
until puberty.
that's true.
I feel like that's the way women are like, men are more difficult. They come into the world harder. That's why they treat us so bad.
No, but seriously, yeah, like from a couple women that have both boys and girls, I've heard that the labor pains are they're more painful.
Anything you would change as far as like the things you would worry less about, worry more about? If somebody was pregnant listening to this podcast, like what are the things that they should focus on versus like the things that you focus on that you shouldn't have focused on? Like you talk about a lot of things that you worried about, like this sickness or that sickness or the contact with the baby. Or
I could say other people's bullshit stories because they would tell her a lot of things, and she would remember those things as
they stress her out.
It would stress her out, and just, you have to.
That's true.
Yeah, you have to remember that like your pregnancy is gonna be different than theirs, and especially because her anatomy is different than like say her mom's or somebody else's mom or whatever. So everybody's gonna be different,
right?
And you don't know how your story's gonna shape out.
And I think just mainly like not having certain expectations.
Yeah.
Because like once the baby's here, like you gotta roll with it and not like going back to the breastfeeding thing. It's like I shouldn't have been so hard on myself. It's like I kept feeling like, oh, like people are gonna be like, you're not, giving your baby the proper nutrition and it's just like, just who cares what everyone says? Yeah. Do what you think is right and just don't even look at people's expressions or same thing goes for like all the advice mom and like mother-in-law might give you, because it's like their experience was different and it was a different time, and it's like like you're so emotional those first couple weeks and everything's a big deal that it's hard to like just shake it off. But I wish I would have just not cared what everyone thinks, or like, am I doing this right? Is my mom thinking that I'm doing it right? Or like, just like you make these things in your head such a big deal when they're not, like in the grand scheme of things, she was healthy, she's growing, like, yeah.
That's probably a weird, difficult position to be in, just like doctors, because doctors probably want to inform you of what could happen, but also like not scare you, but they also can't shield you from what could happen, because you have to know what to expect when you're in the middle of like the hecticness of birth. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, and I guess at the same time, if you're like, for example, a relative of yours who's warning you about the possibilities, like maybe they went through that and they're hypersensitive to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's weird. I mean, there's a lot of things that could happen.
Yeah, that's their experience.
And that's the crazy part, that you don't realize how much of every baby's a miracle, because so many things can go wrong. So many things, like not just with mom, or not just with baby, but with mom too. Like I heard of a story where this woman gave birth, and the baby or the placenta pulled out. What did it pull out? I
don't know.
I can't remember what, but it was to a point where she had to be rushed for surgery because she was bleeding out. Like
pulled out her guts.
She was dying. And it's like, it's crazy. Like, like there's so many things that can go wrong. So many things.
There's no separation, right? Like, so you have the baby's essentially in the placenta, right? Is that the way it works? Yeah, the baby's in the placenta, and so it's floating in the fluid. And then the placenta is what's feeding the baby. But like outside of the placenta, are you essentially like seeing organs? Like if you keep looking up?
From what I understand, because your organs kind of get pushed around somewhere else. And what I've heard is that it takes about 2 years for all that stuff to come back, like completely into place, because everything gets pushed around and shifted around, and
Did you have
enter the waist trainer?
Did you have? Were you able to see like handprints from the baby?
Yeah,
like that alien thing. Like,
well, we would see like when she would move, like at the end we would see
she would shift around,
but like you couldn't tell if it was an elbow or an arm or like
it's just a
foot.
It's just a shift of the shape of the belly.
Yeah, you couldn't really see. There was one time though that I did see her little foot, like
no way.
I creeped out so bad, and he wasn't around. I was like, oh my God, that's her foot. That's her. Because like I saw it clearly. Like I think she just, she kicked a little too hard. And that was creepy. It was creepy.
Stop.
I was like, oh, that's her foot. Like, but yeah.
Was that scary knowing that you were going to grow like a human inside of you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because, like, like you just don't know, like, what the heck your body's doing, like, every couple minutes or whatever. Like, and the you feel the baby moving, like, she would like hang out on my right
On your right side.
a lot.
Yeah.
Like if you really stared at my belly, like it was like
She was always over there.
Yeah, it was weird. It was like more like this. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but she was over here. So like I would get like all these pains on my side because like I would like push her because it was either like a hand or her foot or something. Like it would just go like way too far because it hurt. It hurt. Hiccups are fun. You could feel when they have hiccups because it's just this constant like click, click, like it's super constant.
Why are they hiccuping?
I don't know. But she hiccuped a lot. Ruby hiccuped a lot.
So they're in the fluid. So essentially, the fluid in there is going through their body. Like they're swallowing the fluid. They're how are they getting air? Do they need to get air to the lungs?
It's like they're a little fish, right? When they're in the
yeah, I think the oxygen just kind of goes through like the placenta, right? Like through their belly button.
Yeah, like it's
freaking crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, science.
That's crazy.
Yeah, science. Was that from Breaking Bad?
I don't know.
Yeah, no, whatever.
But any other weird thing
No,
that happened during pregnancy? Like, sleeping sucks. It sucks. Like you gotta.
Yeah.
Do you have one of those like full body pillow wrap around?
Well, he
things?
has one. It's just like a straight
Like a
one,
longer
like
one?
a long straight one. But
But I use it. The whole time.
It's like you just like I had to sleep a little upright. And you're moving all night. Like I'd say like after like the 5th month around there is when the whole sleeping aspect gets harder and harder. You're waking up in the middle of the night to pee.
Oh, for the peeing? Or I thought they were keeping you awake or something, like from the movement.
Well, yeah, that too. Like, cause if they move like you feel it if they move too much. But yeah, the whole sleeping it's hard.
Did you have a hard time sleeping, Ralph? Were you good?
He always does.
I always have a hard time sleeping, no matter what.
How was the first couple of weeks? Hard time sleeping?
Yeah, I didn't sleep at all. And I try to make sure I was the one getting the baby when she needed our attention in the middle of the night. Like, and that was my way of trying to bond with her. Like, so
he would sing her the cutest songs. Yeah, like whenever he was trying to put her back to sleep, he would sing her the cutest songs.
From my preschool teacher life.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. I know all. I did the Bear Hunt song, the 5 Little Monkeys. What else? 5 Speckled Frogs.
The 5 Speckled Frogs. That was good.
Yeah.
All right, bust it out, dude. Go ahead.
No.
Go ahead.
No.
Mike is yours.
The one where somebody would eat somebody else and so. I don't remember
the old lady who swallowed a fly. That one takes forever. Yeah. That's too many songs to remember. But so now I try to do like the Head and Shoulders, Knees and Toes.
Oh yeah. I know that one.
It's so many.
Yeah.
They all come back to me. Like once I remember them, then they come back to me. I can't. At the moment, I can remember them. But
so did you ever think about having like, if you wanted the two, having them just one after the other? Because they always say, I hear a lot of moms
we hear that all the time.
Yeah, I hear a lot of moms saying like, oh, you want them growing up very similar ages.
Yeah.
At least a lot of people go for that.
Yeah.
Do you ever think about that? After the first one, you're like, no, I need a break.
I knew that I didn't want to have a baby right away.
Yeah, we do get that all the time. And my neighbor was telling me, he's like, you should have the next one soon. That way they grow up in the same social group. And they can always be around each other, but yet they're not like the same age. They got 3 years apart. They know the same people and stuff. They could all take care of each other. And,
Well, I guess a lot of people also think about the fact that like once whatever you guys' age is now, whatever, I can't even talk to the mic, that when they hit 18, like you're still young enough to where you can enjoy life and do stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
I always told her, I said, I want to be young enough to be able to knock my kid out if I have to, but she's a girl, so I'm not going to knock her out.
You think he's going to spoil her?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a girl.
Most likely. She kind of keeps me from spoiling her. Like the other day she saw a balloon at Walmart and I wanted to get it, but she's like, no. Then she's going to get used to it and she's going to expect it.
Yeah,
he's getting in that habit where every time she asks for something at the store, he gets it. And I'm like, no. I'm like, every time we go to the store, she's going to want something. I'm like, and especially now that she's just more and more aware. I'm like, no.
It was an Elmo balloon.
He's
by
like,
the way.
it's only like a couple of dollars. I'm like, it's not about the money. She's going to want something.
And she's absolutely right. And she's just, it's her job to remind me of things, you know.
And I secretly hate toys.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, I've gone to friends' houses where like the kids' room is like covered in toys. Like every single inch of the floor has a toy, and I'm like, I bet like, and that's also what I tell him. It's like you get her the toy and she plays with it for a little bit when we get home, and that's it.
Throws away.
Yeah.
Like it takes her a long time before she has any interest on that toy. It's just like. No. Yeah,
like her little Minnie Mouse kitchen that she has over there. At first, she's like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna play with this little kitchen." Now it's just there, and we were excited. We were excited to get it for her and stuff, and now it's just there.
It's an interesting dynamic because now you got to start thinking about, like you're right. She's gonna start noticing that, just like positive reinforcement. You complain and you want something, then you give it to her, and then it's gonna continue that cycle. Now you got to start dealing with teachings. Like it's not just about taking care anymore. Now you're phasing into showing her like morals and accountability and responsibility and all those big words. I mean, you're shifting now because now she's going from you just making sure she's alive to now she understands and teaching her the concepts that you have to live with in society.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a really good way to put it.
And you got to not spoil her because as a guy, like you always look for the opposite. So if you had a boy, you would more likely want to spoil the boy, and he'd have to be the one that's harder on the boy. So it's one of these situations where you're gonna have to keep him in check to not spoil her because nobody likes a bratty chick or a bratty little kid.
Oh no, I hate that.
Yeah, so you gotta.
Yeah.
Keep in check. It's interesting, man. It's an interesting phase to know that you gotta now change the dynamic.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and I think that's why. And I think that's why, like inside, I think I just wanted the girl just to have somebody to give that love to. I knew I would be hard on a boy. I know I'll be hard on a boy.
Yeah, because guys will tend to be harder on boys. Like if he falls and scrapes his knee, you're like, just get up, dog.
Get up.
You're good. Just run it off.
Like, get up. And I even catch myself with her sometimes. She falls, I'm like, get up. Just get up.
Yeah. But that's good, man, because ultimately, like, I'm not saying to be cold and heartless and ununderstanding, but what I am saying is kids are very soft nowadays.
Yep.
There's a lot of soft kids. I mean, we talked about some soft people just earlier today.
Yeah.
And the U.S. as a whole is suffering from this state of comfort. We yearn for comfort and creature comforts or the comfort of just being able to drive through and get a food. I mean, we're not struggling with things that other countries are struggling with. Right. And sometimes I feel that struggle is what develops the moral fiber in order for you to become a stronger individual or a tougher individual. Yeah. Because you see how many people just crumble with a little bit of stress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Life is going to be stressful, and there's going to be a point where that daughter of yours is going to be on her own.
Yeah.
And she's going to need to be self-confident and disciplined enough to be able to make the right decisions. And this is the age where you have to instill those things into her.
Yeah, and that's going to be a fun challenge.
Yeah, it's hard finding that challenge between them respecting you, but also fearing you a little bit,
That's necessary, right?
It is necessary.
Yeah.
I think it is. I mean, I feared my mom a little bit.
Yeah, so did I.
But I don't feel like it was enough to where like I couldn't come to her.
Right.
So it's just fine. And that's what I've always told Ralph. it's so hard to find that balance because
Yeah.
it's like you want them to come to you if there's a problem they're going through or like, you know, something crazy. But at the same time, it's like you don't want them to just be like, oh, if I do this, my mom won't do anything or whatever. Right. So it's that's the challenging part that I'm like, yeah. I don't know. Fun times ahead.
Stressful times ahead.
So, you ready for dating?
No.
No.
You're not ready now. What I'm saying is, like, are you mentally prepared?
That's more than a decade away.
Well, no, she's going to start looking at boys at some point.
Some point.
Maybe that's about 5 years away, maybe. But she'll be like, oh, that boy's cute. Are you ready for that? Are you ready for that?
Nope.
She like goes and like punches a kid in the
I'm not ready
schoolyard.
for it, but not ready for it, but I have to go through it. So, who wants to go shotgun shopping?
Yeah, man, that's what a guy. That's like the guy's worst fear, right?
Yeah.
It's like the guys that your daughter's gonna bring home.
Yeah.
Like, because if you have a boy, then you don't worry about it. You're like, you know.
Give him tips.
You're like, boy, cover up your willy, and we're good to go. Don't come back over here with kids. But with the daughter, you're like, who are you dating? This kid?
You ain't going nowhere.
This kid?
You ain't going nowhere with that kid.
Like, boy, get out of my house. I'm not dealing with you right now. Now pull your pants up. Yeah, I can't. Yeah.
I can see your foot, young man.
Yeah, man. That's why I think I would almost lean towards a boy first.
Yeah.
Because a boy, you can make some mistakes and know that you're just like, he'll be fine. He's a boy, right? But a girl, as a man, you want to coddle them a bit. You're like, oh, don't scrape your knee here, girl. You're like trying to baby her, you know.
Yeah, no, I don't mind if she scrapes her knees. I want her to be running around and like I like that she climbs on these chairs. I kind of like it, but then I got to be watchful and protective about it. But I don't want her to see me be like right behind her. You know what I'm saying? That way she builds her own little confidence, and you know, if she falls, at least I'll protect her head from cracking open or something. But I let her walk up the steps by herself, but I'm right behind her.
Right.
But I'm also not like with my hands out expecting her to fall. I let her walk, and I try to be super observant about her balance, and you know, because rolling down the stairs for a little 2-year-old is dangerous.
Yeah, for sure.
What age did you start seeing like a personality?
Ooh.
I wanna say she started coming alive at about 4 months.
Yeah, roughly.
Like, cause the first 3-4 months, they really are just there. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
they're just chilling.
Yeah, they really
sleeping, crying,
chilling,
eating.
The life.
and just like
yeah, they're living the life, man.
The life.
Getting their diapers changed.
And like as a parent, you're just worried that they're okay, that they're breathing, that you know. But I think she started like the smile. Like when you see those first smiles, it's so cool, you know, because it's like, oh my gosh, she just smiled, you know, like. The first words are pretty cool too. I'd say that happened more towards like.
What was her first words?
Oh.
What was it?
She says a lot of different things. There isn't one specific word that comes to mind. That was her first word, but.
I want to say it was Mama though, because for a long time she would call us both Mama.
Yeah, she still kind of calls me Mama sometimes, but that's all right. I don't mind. I know the difference between mom and when she's calling me. Like she has two different things that she says.
Where do you feel that personality comes from? Is it just from watching you guys? Is it?
Yeah, I think
TV?
I think
where do you think that comes from?
She's so observant.
Yeah,
yeah,
I think it might be a little bit learned
for sure
now
from us, from everyone that lives here, because like there was I realized it because shortly after she started walking, I guess I say no a lot because there was like the first couple times she said it, I said something to her and she's like, no.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of learned
and my
behaviors
mom's
is
like,
hilarious.
you know, you do that like all the time, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I do? And she's like, yeah. She's like, look at her, now she's doing it too. And they really imitate you. They really do.
Yeah.
She imitates Grandpa a lot, his dad. Like even in the way she sits. Cause like he'll sit on the computer with like his foot up on the desk. She like sits in her little chair with her little foot up, and I'm like, that's so weird. Like I feel like they're so observant and we don't realize it.
It's
like,
interesting what they gravitate towards.
Yeah.
Though, right? Because otherwise, it's not like a parrot where a parrot will say everything that they hear, but they only pick certain things to do themselves. Like the foot thing, or like the thing you said, versus like just anything you guys say at all times. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, that's true.
I wonder what the logic is there, like how that works.
No idea.
But yeah. Oh, and then like in the gym, she squats. Yeah. Or when we're jumping, she like just does like a good morning. Yeah. But it's so funny because it's like we start like doing some kind of movement where we're jumping, and then she's like over there like she's
or I was doing like, how was I doing, lunges or squats or something, and she just starts like, I want to say she was doing like a deadlift movement, but like to her she was squatting and she's just doing it right along. And then I remember I was doing like some push-ups or something, and she would just get in like that upward dog position. Oh yeah, like it's weird. It's like, what are you doing? But keep doing it. It's cute. It's real cute.
Have you seen those little like foam weight sets for kids?
Yeah,
those are like foam.
Yeah, I've been thinking about getting her a little.
Rogue, I think, has them. They're
we have a set of 1 pound dumbbells. These the little Fifi dumbbells. Yeah. And she picks them up and she uses them. She throws them. She puts them over it and then she just drops them. She's crazy. She's gonna smash her foot one day, and then I'm gonna tell her, "I told you, stop playing with these weights." She's gonna learn the hard way.
Yeah, I would say in the gym is where she imitates us.
Yeah, she's funny in there. And then it probably one of the best things that's ever happened for me, like a father-daughter thing. I had a baseball, or I have a basket of baseballs in the garage, and she reaches in and grabs one, and she reaches out to me. She's like, "Ball," and she hands me the ball, and then she pulls out her little, because I bought her a little glove that she never really used, but I had left it there, and she grabs her glove. She's like, "Ball." So I instantly pulled out my glove from my bag, and she can't catch, obviously, but I throw the ball like towards her, and she just kind of looks at it until it stops, and then she picks it up, but now she's like kind of throwing the ball, so it's pretty cool to see her do that, and hoping that she takes a big interest in. Well, it would have to be softball, obviously. But
he rolled his eyes.
But I mean, softball, fast pitch softball is very competitive, obviously, and it's a lot faster paced than just regular old school baseball.
Yeah.
Really? Why?
Because everything, the bases are shorter. The distance between bases is shorter. The pitcher's mound is closer. The fences are shorter distance, so everything happens at a faster pace. Can't hit the ball
as far, right?
Can't hit it as far, so like everything's just quicker. Yeah. Crazy.
Any thoughts on like? Do you give a lot more thought into like education and stuff after you've had kids? Like what school districts you're in and stuff like that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Ideally, I'd want her to be homeschooled, but
I don't know. For me,
it's hard because you want them to have that social interaction, but then how crappy the system is. You know, but
there's
so much social pressure.
You take away a lot of opportunities as far as like maybe an athletic scholarship or something like that.
Yeah, but that's down the road. I'm talking more like elementary school.
Yeah, I see.
Because it's kind of like the foundation,
Right.
Yeah, because I mean, like growing up, there's so much pressure, everything. Are you wearing the cool shoes?
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
Yeah, so it's like I almost think like if you take all that out, and so but then they need that social interaction too. So it's but it's like it's almost like it's your little baby, and you don't want them to go through that peer pressure or feeling. Yes, and the bullying is real. It really is.
Yeah, and for me, like one of my biggest struggles as a parent is seeing her interact with other kids at maybe like birthday parties or something like that. Because here it's just her, and she just sees us all as big people. But then she sees kids her size, and she wants to be around them. But she's very, like, she kind of stands off to the side and observes, and then she'll kind of work her way in and still not really play. She just kind of want to be in the mix but not really interact.
Yeah.
You know, like a jumper is a good example.
Yeah.
Like, she wants to be in there, but she won't jump. She just kind of sits there.
She wants
in
to
the
sit
corner.
in the corner.
She wants to sit in the corner and
everybody.
watch everybody.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And then for me, like, I want her to be more social with kids. And I think the biggest challenge for us is actually making the time to go
Play dates.
play dates and yeah.
Play dates.
Or
Yeah, so
Gymboree apparently is.
Do you
a
feel
thing.
like
Gymboree is a thing, I
what is
guess.
Gymboree again?
I don't know.
It's basically like a little kid gym.
It's a
And, like,
playground, I guess,
It's a playground, but like there's certain
that you pay for.
certain levels, but like there's a group of kids, they go at a certain
Yeah.
time and they all like do these little obstacle courses and but it like it's age appropriate.
Do you feel like because this is your first one, you're a little bit more overprotective?
Yes.
Yeah,
bit.
I mean I don't think the overprotectiveness will go away with me even if we have a second one.
Really? Because you always get that first child syndrome where like they're overprotected and they're a little babied, and that's why maybe they're a little bratty. And the second one, you always hear parents be like, whatever. Like the first one, he fell, and you're like, oh my God, let's rush him to the emergency room. And the second one's like, whatever, he's strong, he'll be fine.
I wonder. I mean, I know I am overprotective. Like as far as babysitting, I'm so weird about leaving her with. Other than like the only people we've left her with is my mom or my mother-in-law, and that's it. Like I'm very weird. Like I don't even want her to go to daycare.
Yeah. And friends offer us all the time, like, hey, you should leave her. You guys could go out and we'll watch her for you. And we're still
a
little hesitant about that kind of thing.
Yeah, like it's, you know what I mean? And it's like, why? But I am. And I'm like.
And it's nothing against
nothing against the person.
Our friends or anybody like that.
The
but
first one's always you're very protective.
Like I'm like, no, like what if this, what if that, or
anything happens, we're just gonna blame ourselves. So.
Right.
But even with like daycare, when like we go to work, like it gives me anxiety just to think of putting her in daycare like all day. I don't know why. I did work at a daycare. Maybe that's why, because I know. But I mean, they don't treat them bad, but like the thought of like when
someone not having nice thoughts towards your child.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is, because between teachers it's like, oh, that kid again or whatever, and it's like I'm like, I don't, but eventually I know it's gonna have to happen because we have to work.
I was itching to say it. I'm sorry.
But yeah, there's all these anxieties and worries and from what I hear, it doesn't go away. Like, from friends that have kids of all ages, like the worry never goes away. And
Well, I think we're finishing up, guys. Anything you want to leave people with? Maybe thoughts on pregnancy?
Don't adopt.
Anything you would like to tell somebody who's maybe pregnant and listening to this, or thoughts about giving birth or pregnancy, or warnings on what to expect or anything? No?
I guess like the warnings is like you like a jillion things can happen, before, after, during, like it's I mean self-awareness, reading stuff out there that's out there to get prepared. For sure, prepare yourself for delivering the baby, like the whole labor process, because I like even if you prepare yourself, you still go in and you feel like you don't know what the heck you're doing. But if you kind of have a bit of a foundation of like what to expect a little bit, because it's just like a million things happening at once, but it's the hardest and most rewarding experience I've gone through.
And if you ain't ready, wrap it up. Put a condom on. They're cheap.
Anything
They're not expensive.
Your kiddo, when she's old enough to listen to this?
Buy condoms.
To your kiddo?
Yeah. Fuck yeah. Being realistic. I mean, she's going to grow up. She's going to have sex, Wrap it up. I mean,
wrap it up.
yeah, if you're gonna do it, wrap it up. I'd rather be real about it.
Your dad, you're listening.
I mean, like, yeah. I mean, think about it yourself, like.
Well, yeah, for sure. I mean, like we were talking about earlier, like, that sex is like a taboo, but it's like
it's a primal instinct.
The first time I said that word in front of my mom, she was freaking out, and I was already like 13, 14, you know, and it's like you need to start talking to your kids about it from like the time they're like probably 6 or 7 nowadays.
You think you're gonna talk to her about sex?
I mean,
7?
she's gonna see.
There's books out there.
somewhere.
Okay, I know of a book that's called
and then any
what is it, like just things pertaining to that, like I think it's called Hair in Funny Places or something. Like there's so much stuff out there nowadays that it's like maybe like at least just like, you know, giving them books and like just that, you know, yeah.
Okay. Any last words? Anything you leave the people with? You want to plug any social media? You want to plug anything? You're good?
I'm good for now.
It's just hard, and you have to be a team. Like you have to be a team. That's pretty much what it comes down to.
I think I plugged my IG in earlier. Do I have anything else social media wise? Oh, I have a Funko Pop Instagram. Adventures of Pops. There's an underscore between the words. Adventures underscore Pops.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
If you like Funko Pops, what's up? I know that has nothing to do with what we talked about today, but
might as well. Any last There's a little one.
There's our little one popping her head through the doorway. You want to say hi? You want to say hi, baby? No.
All right, that's it, ladies and gentlemen.
That's a wrap.